To that conversation, though, I do want to take a look at what's happening in Ukraine. So the US government has sent the last package of military aid available under a drawdown authority, which allowed the US to give the Ukraine its own military supplies. Now, they were discussing sending further supplies, but that has been met with significant opposition. And joining us to discuss this is Cormac Smith, former strategic communications advisor to then Ukrainian Foreign Minister Pavlo Kymklin. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. What is the resistance in the United States? Why is the funding of weapons for Ukraine so contentious over there?
Natasha, good evening. A happy new year to you and very nice to join you. Thank you for having me on. Look, the situation in the United States is very concerning. There is a part of the GOP, the Republican Party, which is very much in thrall to Vladimir Putin. And I can say that quite openly because I no longer work as a senior civil servant. And there are shenanigans going on, which before Christmas saw a aid package of north of $50 billion blocked. And this is critical. I'm just looking at figures in front of me here. You know, up to now, up to August 2023, the United States has contributed more support to Ukraine than every other country put together. Now, look, this block is not a done deal. You're quite right to say that the $250 million is basically the last money that's in the bank unless they can get this approved. The Biden administration will go back to the House early in 2024 and make another attempt. The Republicans who are blocking this, including House Speaker Michael Johnson, are tying it into security measures on the southern border vis-a-vis former President Trump's promise to build a wall. So there's a lot of political shenanigans going on here. It's not a done deal yet. It's above my pay grade to predict what will happen. I can only pray that President Biden and his team manage to get this funding through, because it's dark days for Ukraine if they don't, and for Europe.
And that was going to be my next question. If the worst case scenario is that the US aren't able to supply any more military support to Ukraine, will Ukraine be able to continue to ward off Russia with just the support that they have from Europe?
Natasha, two things I would like to say there. You know, the front line has hardly moved in the last year. It's hardly moved for any of 2023. And we're already hearing reports because of the slowdown of providing of ammunition of the Ukrainians moving from offense to defense. And the military guys, of which I am not one, but I listen to them and I study them very closely. The military guys will tell you that it's far, far more expensive, if you like, to go on the offense than the defense. It takes up to 3 times as much force to effectively go on the offense. So we're hearing a lot of reports of the Ukrainians switching from offense to defense to hold the line. I think the Ukrainians will hold the line for 2024. But, you know, the next factor we have to consider is Europe. And, you know, the prospect of a second Trump presidency, I've got to tell listeners and yourself, there is a great likelihood that a second term President Trump would simply withdraw the United States from NATO, leaving Europe to stand on her own 2 feet. And if I can say 2 things about that, and it's very, very encouraging to hear statements from Grant Shapps suggesting that there is now discussions among European partners that they need to start putting industries on a war footing. This should have been done 2 years ago. But look, you know, the combined economic might of Europe plus the UK and 1 or 2 other European countries who are not in the EU is probably in the region of 15 times the size of Russia. You often hear it said that the Russian economy is about the same size as Italy's. The difference is this, Natasha. At the moment, Britain is one of the only NATO countries that meets the minimum 2% commitment to defence. Russia is currently spending 40% on defence. So, you know, in Europe, we need to wake up, and we need to wake up fast.
Cormac Smith, thank you so much for that really important analysis, but somewhat terrifying analysis. And I should have said a very happy new year to you as well. That's the former strategic communications advisor to then Ukrainian foreign